Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's January 9th and we're going to take a tour of the garden and see what disaster it looks like. We're out here in the garden this morning. It's 66 degrees, so the 1st of January we had quite a bit of freeze. We've been working on moving our containers and setting them up at a different place. We've got some onions here that we'd set out, and you can see how it's just killed them. Now your alliums do pretty good to hold up to cold weather, so I didn't intend to cover a bunch of them. And you can see even these little starts, which I always start them real little, that's even tougher on them because they lose so much of their leaves, and so they lose that advantage. And this is the first year in the wintertime. Of course, I didn't cover it this year too, but this is the first year that I've actually lost collards to the freeze down here in the south. We're in the piney woods of East Texas, and that doesn't happen. Now this row here, I went ahead and covered it in case it did get cold enough to affect the onions. And you can see that they probably fared pretty well. It'd be a surprise if they didn't. But here's another row. Now these onions are the same way. They're trying to spring their way back. These were planted a little bit before the other ones, and they are hanging in there. But the oldest ones were these that were covered here. Now under here we have spinach, and we have our radishes down there. Now we have another row of onions on the end, right down there, that row. And you can see our leek. We'll come around there and see it as we go on with this tour, but it got hit hard. Our lettuce, normally I pin my sides down a little bit better. Well, the lettuce in this row, you can see quite a bit got hit hard and died. Now we did pick this lettuce 2 days ago, so it's looking kind of pitiful anyway. Our herbs here, the chives kind of died back. These, I'm still needing to separate these and move them. Now the thyme looks unaffected by 21-degree temperature. These garlic that popped up, they're fine. It does look like it got a little bit of the oregano and my new rosemary, which it really whooped up on it, but there's some green in the bottom, so I'm hoping that it'll do just fine and come back, and I'll take a little bit better care of it next time. It's still, even with that cold, and it looks like they might be losing a little bit of green. It might finally killed the asparagus back, so we can clean this bed and put some compost on it. Now, everything in the greenhouse is done. It's fared pretty good. It's all looking like it's doing good. We've moved a few more transplants out here. We've got some cabbage. This is our celery, which was really planted late, but maybe it'll be a spring crop. We'll see how that works out. And then I've got a couple of trays of collards to replace those ones. Now my elderberry trees, they're doing really good. I haven't checked the roots as far as pulling these out of the containers. I don't see any roots coming out the bottom, but we're not in no hurry because we're not ready to put these out anyway. Now these here are showing roots coming out of them, so that's good. I have my rootstock here for some peaches, and I'm do a video on that once I kind of get this completed. It might take a few months. And then I have my cuttings from my plum tree. Down here we have some more varieties of lettuce. I'm trying to get something that's a little more red, and so I've got these. They're going to be a little slow to come on, but they are going. And definitely I need to get this sprouting broccoli in the ground, because it'll do a whole lot faster growing once it's in the ground. But it will have to be covered, and that's one of the things I'm waiting on. The cool weather did affect the chard in here a little bit. It's kind of drooped down, and it could not only be that, but it could be it got pretty hot because I had my fans on, my exhaust fans set a little too high. And sometimes we think of disaster. Now, I had my tree over here, or what I was going to say, my pepper tree, and of course the freeze got it. It was loaded up with peppers, but they were really small. They are fairly firm, considering. But anyway, I've got plenty of peppers. And you might think of this as a disaster, but this should have happened probably way back in November, whenever we get our first cold weather. That's normally when all our peppers grow off. So actually, I can't say this was a disaster. Eventually, I needed it to die off, so I could replant this. And now it's time to cut it out. I've got a little bit more parsley out there. I'd stick it in there, because I don't want anything that takes a long time. I've got to kind of plant our plants, because we want to be able to come in here with our next crop, which is going to be tomatoes, once it starts getting closer to warming up, and we'll push the time period much we can. But we've got potatoes in here. Now the potatoes, we'll just interplant tomatoes with them, and they'll grow together just fine. And our carrots in here, these are our really long carrots. I don't even try to pronounce the name of it, but they're doing good. They did wilt a little bit when it got 21, but it just barely, because it just barely got below freezing, and it's more towards the edges. And the carrots on the other side are doing well. They were a little bit spotty at this end, but that's fine. They'll still make a good crop. But the carrots that were outside, these really took a hit. Now, carrots will take cold weather. They'll come back from the root. As you can see, they're trying to come back up. What we'll do is we'll probably clean off some of this dead stuff and try to complete the crop. See how well they did. We did harvest some of them to thin it a little bit more. Now we're over here at the leek, and you can see it got a hard hit too. So we'll just have to wait and see how it pulls through. Garlic, the same way. You can see the yellow in leaves. You can see the signs on the elephant garlic where the leaves have got burnt. This was the first year I've ever had rutabagas killed too. I have had leaf damage, but actually this first time in the rutabagas, some of them, it actually froze the tuber itself. So it definitely got cold, but it's not a big thing. Now, we did clear the peppers out of here from the freeze. Under here we've got our kale, our lacinato kale. It did good. It doesn't take a lot of roll cover, this 1 ounce fleece, and it works pretty good. We got our broccoli up underneath here, and it was okay. And under this one we have our turnips, and it's doing okay. But one thing I'd say about row cover is you have to inspect it occasionally, because if you get an infestation, say caterpillars or something, the weather is warmer, it's more humid in there, and if you get an infestation, a lot of times it creates optimum conditions for the pest to thrive. Now, in here, these strawberries here, these 2 rows, which they hadn't been covered, they're still alive, but that was kind of normally their maximum low temperature that we don't want to get past is 22. Like I say, it's 21. It didn't stay there too awful long at that low temperature. They are alive, but we've got a few more, little more leaf damage and stuff to them. These here, now we've uncovered these, give bees an opportunity while we've got a few days that's warmer. They're still producing. The ones over here that had strawberries, the strawberries got real mushy that were getting ripe. These were fine. You know, we've picked a few of them. In fact, we'll come out and we'll pick a few more strawberries. They're ripening up, and they'll keep doing that long as they're protected. In fact, they'll do better because it keeps them a little bit warmer in there. So we'll have to get out here and pick some of these ripe ones, and that's one reason why we've got it open too, because there's no sense in letting them ruin. You got a few that's kind of they get kind of big when they start out. A lot of times that cooler weather, and that's great. You get a lot more than just a bite of strawberry. Now over here we've got our cabbage, and we'll probably be opening this up in just a little bit because we've got some smaller ones ripening up, and we're about ready for some cabbage. It's been a while. And then more broccoli in here, and like I say, we're going to have to watch this close because we had to harvest all our heads. There might be just a few that weren't, but now's when it starts side shooting, and you want to make sure that these side shoots don't get too big and it start bolting into seed heads. Still haven't lost all the leaves off the apple tree. They've still got a few, so we'll see how that goes. We might have to try to force them to take them off or something. Like I say, they should have been off. When we get down here, we've had all these blooms were on the blueberries, and I don't think any of these are going to set. We'll see. I think that it really froze them hard. The first freeze wasn't as bad as the others because it did have the ice, a little bit of ice and moisture that come on. It does look like we've got some more blooms setting, so we still might have some blueberries from some of these, which would be great because we ended up with a total of 2 blueberries last year, which wasn't bad because we put them in that previous fall. So anyway, we've got, this is a later variety, I believe a Brightwell or a Premier, and this is midterm along with these, I think, Tiftons. These are midterm, so we don't expect these to start blooming right now. We'll get just a little bit longer. I'm hoping that the warmth hadn't thrown them off, at least not enough to cause them to freeze. Now this one here, it hasn't started budding, and I don't know if I've lost this one or not. We'll just have to see, because it accidentally got pulled up because the grass got big around it, and when we pulled it up, and then we reset it again. But hopefully it's going to come out. We'll give it some time. I hope you find some value of this video, and I hope those of you that feel like that you've had some failures and stuff in your garden, that you realize that even us that's been growing for quite a few years, we have the same problem. And I have more of it here the past year because normally I do just virtually every bit of my gardening during the summer. I do very few fall and winter crops. And there's a lot to do with timing, getting timing right, and we're going to talk in some videos here in the real near future about seed starting, because I know a lot of you out there that are new to gardening. You want to grow your own transplants. You want that feeling that you get whenever you know that you taking that plant from a seed to something on your dinner table. So anyway, if you want to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. If you hadn't already subscribed, hit the bell there and click all so you'll be notified as soon as a new video comes out. If you like it, give it a big thumbs up. That gives it a better shot of other people seeing it. And share it. It helps my channel. Happy gardening.